Hello guys. So coming to this video, let's discuss about human heart circulation. So in this video, we'll cover about the chambers of human heart. How many chambers are there? What are its names? We'll also discuss about the basic human heart circulatory mechanism. We will discuss about the different blood vessels which are involved in carrying the blood from one part to other part. We'll discuss about the valves which are uh, covering or which are present at which position, and we'll also discuss about different types of circulation, that is nothing but the pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. To start with, we know human heart is made by four chambers. So upper two chambers we call it as atrium or auricles, and lower two chambers we call it as ventricles. So if they are towards right, we call it as right atrium, right ventricles. If they are towards the left side, we call it as left atrium and left ventricles. Coming to the main point, left side of your heart will carry the oxygenated blood, and right side of your heart will carry the deoxygenated blood. To remember, this is the main thing, right? Next. So let's discuss about the circulation first. Then we can understand the types, we can understand the valves, and we can also understand about the blood vessels. To start with, first we'll take the body organs. So different of your body organs will release the carbon dioxide after the process of respiration. That is, they'll be breaking down the glucose with the help of oxygen to produce the ATP. So whatever ATP will be produced is used for the energy. I mean, from the energy source, ATP is produced, we'll be using for all the metabolic activities. After the breakdown of glucose, your body organs or your body cells will release the carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide is carried by the blood to the right side of your atrium. So this carrying of the deoxygenated blood from the body organs to the right side of the atrium is done by the vena cava. So this is the largest vein present in your body, that is nothing but the vena cava. So I have already given you here, that is deoxygenated blood will be carried from the different parts of your body to the right atrium. So this vena cava is again two types, inferior vena cava, superior vena cava. So inferior vena cava will carry the blood from your lowermost part of your body. Superior vena cava will carry the blood from the anterior part of your body. Done. So two vena cavas, inferior lower part of the body, superior upper part of your body. I mean, if you compare it with the heart to compare cheste. So done. So deoxygenated blood ఏదైతే ఉందో from different parts of your body has now reached the right atrium. So now the blood from the right atrium will enter into the right ventricle by the pumping of the right atrium. Done. Now what should this right ventricle should do? It should carry the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Why to the lungs? So lungs lo we know it will be having the alveoli, and actual process of exchange oxygen carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is done in the lungs. So ఈ పార్ట్ అయితే మనకు తెలుసు రెస్పిరేషన్ ప్రాసెస్లో. సో ఇప్పుడు ఏంటి, వాట్ ఎవర్ ది deoxygenated, I mean carbon dioxide rich blood present in the right ventricle will be now carried to the lungs so that it can exchange the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So from the right ventricle, deoxygenated blood is carried to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Done. So pulmonary artery will carry the deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to the lungs. Done. So this is one kind of circulation of deoxygenated blood. Body parts to right atrium through inferior and superior vena cava, right atrium to right ventricle to lungs through pulmonary artery. Done. So this is the carrying of the deoxygenated blood. సో ఇప్పటిదాకా డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నట్టు ఇన్ ద లంగ్స్ ఆక్సిజన్ కార్బన్ డైఆక్సైడ్ ఎక్స్చేంజ్ మెకానిజం అయిన తర్వాత ఫ్రమ్ ది లంగ్స్ ఆక్సిజనేటెడ్ బ్లడ్ ఇస్ క్యారీడ్ టు ది లెఫ్ట్ atrium. So this carrying of the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium is done by the pulmonary veins. Done. Next, from the left atrium, oxygenated blood is carried to the left ventricle. Second step. Third step, from the left ventricle, the oxygenated blood is carried to the body parts. So different body parts will be now receiving the oxygenated blood through the main artery or the largest artery called as aorta. So this is the oxygenated transfer of blood. I'll repeat it again. Lungs to left atrium through pulmonary vein, left atrium to left ventricle to different body parts through the main artery or aorta. So this is the transfer of blood, deoxygenated and oxygenated. Now let's discuss about the valves which are involved in this circulation. So first there is a valve between the right atrium and right ventricle. So this valve we call it as tricuspid valve. I'll just write it here. Tricuspid valve. Next, so there is a valve between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. We call it as pulmonary valve. Okay with this? Because it is carrying the blood to the lungs, to the upper part of the body, upper part of the heart. It needs the presence of valve, which is nothing but the pulmonary valve. Next is you have from the left atrium to the left ventricle, we have bicuspid valve. To say this bicuspid valve is also called as mitral valve. Okay, this is the third valve. Fourth valve is located between the left ventricle and aorta. So this valve we call it as aortic valve. So four valves: right atrium to right ventricle, tricuspid valve; right ventricle to the lungs, pulmonary valve; left atrium to left ventricle, bicuspid or mitral valve; left ventricle to aorta. So there is one more valve which we call it as aortic valve. So these are the four different kinds of valves which are present in the circulation of heart. I'll just erase this. So that it could be easy for us to carry forward with the next part. Hope you got this. So we have discussed about the valves. We have discussed about the basic circulation. Done. Now let's discuss about the two kinds of circulation, that is pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So the circulation which is occurring through the pulmonary veins and pulmonary arteries, we call it as pulmonary circulation. So rest of the circulation we call it as systemic circulation. Simple. So coming to the pulmonary circulation will carry out from the right ventricle to the left atrium. That is from right ventricle to the lungs to the left atrium. So whatever the circulation, ఏదైతే circulation right ventricle నుంచి lungs నుంచి మళ్ళీ left atrium కి అవుతుందో, that circulation we call it as pulmonary circulation. So pulmonary circulation function ఏంటి? To take the deoxygenated blood and to convert into oxygenated blood and to take down and give the oxygenated blood to the heart. So this is the main purpose of pulmonary circulation. Next is systemic circulation. So systemic circulation enti? To carry this oxygenated blood from left ventricle to the body parts to the right atrium. So this circulation we call it as systemic circulation. So systemic circulation function enti? Oxygen rich blood to supply to the body parts, collect the carbon dioxide blood and give it back to the heart. So done. This is the two main circulation. I repeat, pulmonary circulation ante deoxygenated blood lungs ki తీసుకెళ్ళి lungs నుంచి oxygenated blood heart కి ఇచ్చేయడం. This is pulmonary. Systemic circulation ఏంటి? హార్ట్ నుంచి oxygenated blood బాడీ పార్ట్స్కి ఇచ్చి బాడీ పార్ట్స్ నుంచి deoxygenated blood మళ్ళీ హార్ట్కి ఇవ్వడం. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ది main circulatory uh, pathway, that is we call it as pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So I'll erase this again. Next, we say humans have four chambers. Like if you see lower organisms ఏవైతే ఉంటాయో, they don't have four chambered heart. Fishes have two chambered, amphibians have three chambered, reptiles have incompletely divided four chambered antamu. So this apes and mammals have four chambered heart antam. So what is the function of this four chambered heart? Why do we have four chambered heart? First is to separate the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood efficiently without any mixing of the blood. Point number one. Point number two, to supply the oxygenated rich blood to different parts of your body so that you can gain much amount of energy. Done. Point number two. Point number three is, so we apes and mammals ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, these are warm blooded animals where we maintain the constant temperature inside our body. Then whatever the temperature it is outside, బయట ఎంత హాట్ ఉన్నా ఎంత కోల్డ్ ఉన్నా, we don't take it, we just maintain our constant internal temperature. So ఆ బాడీ టెంపరేచర్ని మెయింటైన్ చేయడానికి దిస్ apes and mammals need high amount of energy. So this high amount of energy can be produced in the bodies only when sufficient oxygen is produced to the cells. So that is one more reason where we have four chambered heart. Efficient separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, effectively supplying oxygen to different parts of your body, and effectively producing much amount of energy which is needed to maintain the constant internal temperature. Done. So this is about the human circulation pathways, blood vessels and everything. Now let's discuss about a very small point of arteries and veins. So we all know arteries will carry the oxygenated blood, veins will carry the deoxygenated blood. But in the circulation pathway, we can see pulmonary artery is carrying the deoxygenated blood, pulmonary vein is carrying the oxygenated blood. So simple to remember or to know the actual concept why pulmonary artery is named as such and why pulmonary vein is named as such. So to my understanding, arteries are kind of blood vessels which carry the blood away from the heart. రైట్, హార్ట్ నుంచి దూరంగా పట్టుక తీసుకెళ్ళే బ్లడ్ అన్నిటినీ వి కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ఆర్టరీస్. రైట్, సో వెయిన్స్ ఆర్ ఎ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ బ్లడ్ వెజల్స్ విచ్ బ్రింగ్ ది బ్లడ్ టువర్డ్స్ ది హార్ట్. రైట్. పాయింట్ నెంబర్ టూ, సో వెయిన్స్ ఏం చేస్తాయి, డిఫరెంట్ పార్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ ది బాడీస్ నుంచి బ్లడ్ హార్ట్కి తీసుకొస్తాయి. ఆర్టరీస్ ఏం చేస్తాయి, హార్ట్ నుంచి డిఫరెంట్ పార్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ ది బాడీకి బ్లడ్ సప్లై చేస్తుంది. ఫర్గెట్ అబౌట్ ఆక్సిజనేటెడ్, డిఆక్సిజనేటెడ్. Okay, arteries away from the heart, veins towards the heart. Okay, so ఇదే పాయింట్ అప్లికబుల్ చేద్దాం. సో పల్మనరీ ఆర్టరీ ఏం చేస్తుంది, అవే ఫ్రమ్ ది హార్ట్. దట్స్ ది రీజన్ వీ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ పల్మనరీ ఆర్టరీ ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ క్యారీయింగ్ ది డిఆక్సిజనేటెడ్ బ్లడ్. ఓకే. పాయింట్ నెంబర్ టూ, పల్మనరీ వెయిన్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ సచ్ బికాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ క్యారీయింగ్ ది బ్లడ్ టువర్డ్స్ ది హార్ట్. హార్ట్ సైడ్ తీసుకొస్తుంది, ఆక్సిజనా డిఆక్సిజనేటనా కాదు. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ క్యారింగ్ ద బ్లడ్ టువర్డ్స్ ది హార్ట్, హెన్స్ వీ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ పల్మనరీ వెయిన్. ఓకే, సో అవే ఫ్రమ్ ది హార్ట్, హెన్స్ వీ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ pulmonary artery. Towards the heart, hence we call it as pulmonary vein. So this is the main point to remember. So enduku why they named this specific point ante, this is the reason where arteries will carry the blood away from the heart, veins will carry the blood towards the heart. So అందుకే pulmonary artery will carry the deoxygenated blood, pulmonary vein will carry the oxygenated blood. సో ఈ డయాగ్రామ్లో ఇంకో 2 పాయింట్స్. సో ఎక్సెప్షన్స్ ఏంటి, సో pulmonary artery carrying the deoxygenated, pulmonary vein carrying the oxygenated. Point number 1. Point number 2, the largest vein is vena cava, the largest artery is aorta. Okay, next one more important point. So compared to the auricles, ventricles valves are thicker. Enduku ventricles have to pump the blood to a far away places. Like if for example atrium pump cheste blood has to carry only towards the lowermost parts. That's it. Ade ventricles pump cheste right ventricle has to carry the blood to the lungs, left ventricle has to carry the blood to the different parts of your body. So that's the reason ventricles have thicker walls compared to the atrium. Okay, next important point. Compared to the right and left auricles or atrium, right atrium is the bigger one, bigger in size. Okay, compared to the right ventricle and left ventricle is bigger in size. Okay, so as right atrium should carry maximum amount of blood and it should have some residual blood, left ventricle kuda ante, it will be carrying much amount of oxygenated blood. So that's the reason. So right atrium is bigger and left ventricle is bigger. Compared to the auricles, ventricles valves are thicker. So these are the main important points which will be useful for competitive examinations and for your basic knowledge as well. Done. So hope you like the video. So this is all about human heart circulation. So if you want it, you can take the screenshot of this. I'm just erasing everything which I have written. You can take the screenshot. Very important circulation pathway. So yeah, hope you like the video. Thank you.